Alright, so I figured I'd make a video right now explaining macros and how they work. A lot of people in my comment section don't really understand macros, or what macros do, or how they work, or how they can be hidden, and what types of macros people can use. So I figured I'd make this video only for educational purposes. I'm not going to show anyone how to actually, use macros or how to set them up or anything. I do know how to myself because I've done a lot of research and I've done a lot of, actual macroing by myself in creative just to learn what macros look like, what they feel like, and how they can be hidden and stuff like that. So the first thing I see a lot is people saying that, oh, Task Manager, they show that they have nothing open in Task Manager. So here is the software for my Apex Pro keyboard. I do have the macros already set up on this configuration file on my keyboard. This is the Apex Pro. This is the keyboard that Ryft uses and a lot of other people use as well. And this keyboard is very popular because it has something called a low actuation point, which means that you don't have to push the button all the way down for it to actually register a click. Although people seem to think that if you press the button once, it can do more actions because of the low actuation point. This is untrue. You still have to click the button each and every time you want something to happen. A lot of people didn't understand that, so that's how actuation points work. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go open up my Task Manager on my computer. I'm going to show you guys here, SteelSeries Engine 3 client. We're going to end that task. We're going to scroll down to the secondary SteelSeries thing that's always open in the Task Manager right here, SteelSeries Engine 3 Core, end task. So SteelSeries is completely closed on my computer entirely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you guys in Fortnite what a macro looks like. Alright guys, so here we are in Fortnite, and this is what the macro actually looks like. Now this is a pretty average speed macro. It's not blatantly obvious that I'm using a macro. If I said that I was using, double edit binds or quad binds or something, a lot of people would be like, oh, that makes sense. He's doing a hand cam. Look at his fingers clicking and look at the edits going through. Although in reality, hand cams prove literally less than nothing. So here I am pressing one button on my keyboard, no buttons on my mouse, and I'm editing at this, reasonably high speed. And that's just what it is. That's what a macro looks like. A lot of people like to say things like, oh, you can't use scroll wheel reset and a macro at the same time. Well, here I am macroing. Here's a scroll wheel reset. Actually, I need to, make sure it's actually edited. And then, boom, scroll wheel reset. You can have scroll wheel reset set up. Now, if I go into the settings, would you look at this? I don't have a second select building edit bind. In EJ's video where he exposed Serpent, he said...
Alright, here we are. So I think Big Gary's getting a bit horny and trying to expose someone else in this clip, but this video is about Serpent, so we're not going to worry about that. Now, he's going to come down here, and he's going to change his building edit to G, and his select building edit to F. Now, when using macros, you need to have two select building edits binded. Now, if we have a look here, you can see he's got two select edit binds. And if you remember back into that demonstration, I mentioned when using macros, you usually have to have two select edit binds. So alongside his left click, he's got the big old trusty F1.
He said that Serpent had an F1 key bound here. Now this is pretty good proof because no one's actually going to be reaching up and pressing F1 to select the edit, but a lot of people when they set up their macros, this is how they do it with the F1 key or some other random key on their keyboard. Some people use G, some people use slash, just people use random buttons all over the keyboard. But here in this video I'm showing you guys that you do not need to use that secondary select bind to macro. One button on my keyboard and it's macroing for me. I'm not going to show you guys how to set this up, but just because someone doesn't have a secondary select bind set up, you don't need to. You can still macro without it. Now the next thing I get a lot is people telling me that you can't do a drag edit macro, although if you guys look right here, absolutely can. Now I do play on pretty high ping. My ping is roughly around 50 to 70 usually. But yeah, so it might not be quite as fast as other people that set up their macros differently, but this is what a drag edit macro actually does end up looking like. People say you can't macro a ramp. Well, boom, I can macro a ramp. It's just, it's how it works. You are able to macro ramps, you're able to drag edit macro. People run up on ramps and they go boom, boom. They do these, super quick single tiles. They might do a, pretty quick drag edit macro. But look at that, you totally can. Now, if you're saying, well, it's obvious you're macroing because you have E to edit there, but you're clearly not even pressing E. Well, the reason I did that was I set it up so that you guys could understand this very simply, because macros are a pretty complex thing to understand, especially for people that do not know what a macro is, or how they work, or how they can be set up. I do because I've done the research, I've looked into macros a lot, and I can just tell you guys I know how to set them up. I know what macros look like, I know what macros feel like. A lot of people watching this video probably don't know that well. But yes, if I wanted to actually macro and hide it from people watching videos, or, you know, if I was a creative warrior like BH Fragile or something, making videos where, you know, I'm running through the game, macroing, making videos where I'm, you know, quickly editing, but it's just a macro, I would have obviously bound the macro key to E or F or G or whatever button I actually use to edit. But I just figured that for the sake of this video, I would make it quite simple, and I would just show you guys sorry, the different buttons that I have set up for the macro. But yeah, that's what it looks like. I can still use scroll wheel reset while using the macro. That's just how it is, though. You guys can drag it at macro, you can single tile it at macro, change the delays, fake a hand cam. It looks totally legit. Like, imagine that I said that I was using, you know, double edit binds. My edit bind was E. Look, oh, my edit bind is E, my select bind is G, so when I spam them together, it does this. Oh, look at how fast I am at editing, guys. Look at how fast I'm at editing. A lot of people do this. They say they use double binds, or they said they use, you know, triple binds, or quad binds, or whatever, but either way, you can easily still macro and just fake the hand cam. So there you guys go. For anyone in my comment section saying you can't do drag edit macros, or you can't do single tile edit macros, or just weird things that people in my comments have said, hopefully this does clear things up and you guys can see what macros you guys can actually use in Fortnite, and the certain ways that people can hide them. And it is pretty ridiculous. Now, some people on my chronic Revert, or yeah, his name is Revert, I guess, whatever. On that video, people were all frequently commenting, you can't macro on console. You can't macro on console. Although I know for a fact that you can. With Razer software, with anti-macro or anti-micro, I forget which one it's called, with Logitech software, you can set up a macro onto a mouse or a keyboard. You can save it to the device's onboard memory, plug it into a console. You can do the same thing with a controller. It is absolutely possible to macro on controller, on console. If you guys don't believe me, I would prove it, but I don't actually own a console personally myself. But you guys can look up videos called How to Macro on Console in Fortnite. You'll see a bunch of videos of people telling you exactly how to do it. It is absolutely possible. So yeah, I think that it's time for people in the Fortnite community to start doing research and looking into things like this that I'm explaining here, instead of leaving dumb comments because they don't know what they're talking about. Now I'm going to go into the Metro pickup macro edit on Brazil ping. Alright, so here we're going to be showing the essential pickup macro in Fortnite. So in that video that I made about Metro, people are saying Metro uses scroll wheel pickup. And yes, I'm well aware that he does that, although I do as well. So here I am playing on the Brazilian server, getting about 150 ping. So I just want to show you guys the comparison from my scroll wheel pickup versus the macro pickup. So here we have a chest full of just random stuff on the ground. So we're going to be scrolling. That's how long it takes to pick things up off the ground. Now if we go to play and drop this stuff out of my inventory, it instantly picks up everything when I press a button on my keyboard. I'm not going to show you guys how to set this up. I saw people in my comments asking me, they're like, oh, how do you do that? How do you do that? Although, I'm not going to show you guys how, because I do believe that this is cheating. But yeah, this is scroll wheel normally. And then this here is the macro on high ping. It instantly picks everything up. So that is the macro for that, guys. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Sorry for not making that more clear in the last video that, you know, I used scroll wheel as well, and I actually did compare the macro to, you know, scroll wheel, but that's how it is. Metro definitely does use scroll wheel, or no, sorry, not scroll wheel. He uses scroll wheel interact, but he does use the macro to pick things up on servers where he doesn't get pretty low ping. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do hope you guys learned something about macros and about some people who may or may not be using macros. So trust me, guys, I'm not clout chasing. I'm looking at all the facts here. I'm looking at how people can hide macros. I look into the facts. I look into what is possible and what's really not possible in Fortnite. So yeah, hopefully you guys believe me a little bit more about some of the macro people that I have exposed in the past. Again, I don't think that everyone I've exposed uses macros, like for example Ryft or LD. You know, those videos are pretty much satire. I do think that Ryft used macros in the past, but whatever. It's your opinion if you guys want to or don't want to believe it. But either way, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Have a great day. Peace out.